Today's a great day in America, especially if you're a fan of EVs and you're a fan of automotive innovation here in the States. I'm here at Rivian's plant in Normal, where it's a special day for everybody at Rivian. It is the launch of the R2. That's exactly why we're here today. We're actually going to be taking a test ride in one of them finally. Of course, we had a chance to see them in Miami, got our chance to touch everything inside of that car, which was fantastic. Awesome opportunity, but today we actually get to drive it. It's limited time available to be able to drive these, but we will take every minute of that 30 minutes that we have. These demo drives actually just opened up today, so make sure to head down to the link in the description. That'll help you get a demo drive if there's one available near you. Now, understand they booked out completely within hundreds of miles of my location in minutes. So if you don't see anything available, just keep looking. It says they'll be adding more demo drives every day as this continues to roll out. So today, officially, they have sent out the invitations for people to order their R2. Now, as these R2s start to make their way to customer hands, you might be wondering, how are they prioritizing this? And there's actually three different things that are being taken into consideration for fulfilling these reservations for the R2. Number one, are you an R1 owner, R1S, R1T? You're going to be likely the most prioritized of the customers. No surprise there. Number two, do you have a reservation already? Where are you in that reservation list? Are you day one, or are you much farther down the list? That's going to also play into the priority of getting your delivery fulfilled. And then finally, location. Are you close to an existing service center or not? That's another really big important one, and I'm glad that that actually made its way to the priority list, because part of being one of these younger companies is rolling out these service centers and rolling out the support required for servicing these vehicles. And with R2, this is certainly going to be Rivian's first higher volume vehicle, and I am so excited for them. And this is just another step in bringing more American-made, fantastic electric vehicles to the roads right here. So as I've been sitting up here, we've seen a couple of R2s come and go. I think right now there's only 3 of them, really just 2 of them that have been continuously coming and going. But the one that I'm going to be test driving is a white one, and it has the black interior that you're going to be able to get. Now on the inside here, they actually have a pre-production vehicle. It was probably a little bit older because the interior is supposed to be the ocean interior, but it doesn't quite look the same as what the renderings are. There's a little bit more gray, a dark tone gray underneath the lighter color. So, but it was nice to see what that lighter interior is kind of going to look like. In addition, they had some wheels on it, and I wasn't so sure that was going to look great, but man, they actually do look great. This is also the first Esker Silver R2 that I've seen anywhere, and the silver was just okay in my opinion. I think because of the dual tone, the white is going to look really good, but Catalina Coast is still probably my favorite color for this new R2 SUV. Catalina Coast with the upgraded 20-inch wheels with BF Goodrich tires. That's probably the best looking spec in my humble opinion. But seeing these 21-inch wheels in person, I am quite relieved to see that they look much better than what I had expected. So sticking with the standard wheels isn't going to be so much of a compromise. However, if you plan on doing any adventuring or even just light trails to go camping, you'd be hard pressed to find a better combination than what you can just spec straight from the factory with those BF Goodrich tires. All right, well, as you can see very clearly, I am in an R2, and it's not just like the last video we had where I was able to check out the insides. This one is actually going to be a driving tour, which I am really excited about, because there's a lot of questions about the R2 that are not going to be able to be answered until you get behind the wheel of it. And probably the biggest piece of that is, well, how does it drive? And that is what we're here to find out today, what the ride quality is like in the new R2 that just launched today. So it looks like we're in the middle of shift change at the moment at Normal, Illinois plant. So it's going to be a little crowded on the roads, I would suspect, but visibility is really good. And that is one of the major benefits of the more traditional boxy design, which is a little bit different than what you normally see in EVs, which is more of that egg shape that certainly in the Model Y. With that boxy style, that means you have a straight line swooping straight back and tall ceiling, giving you really good visibility very obviously a big plus for this drive so far. So now as we drive, I'm basically in this car for about 20 more minutes, and we're just gonna go on a drive. This is kind of country roads out here, but the nice thing about all of that is we should be able to get up to reasonable speeds. The highway is just around the corner, so we'll probably hit some of that. I want to find out what's the ride like, what's the noise like at speed, and then also as we're hitting these bumps and things like that, one of the things you commonly hear people complain about is being able to hear some of that vibration inside of the vehicle. So we're going to find out together if this thing is really the real deal for Rivian, and here we go. All right, so we are right outside of the factory here in Normal, Illinois. We are in all-purpose mode. All right, let's see if we can activate the hands-free system, which we are now on universal hands-free, which is Rivian's version of basically autopilot. It's not doing quite as much as Tesla's does, so I'm going to actually take over here because the road is closed, which means we need to turn around and go the same direction everybody else was. So silly me here. We're going to turn around here and put universal hands-free back on, and we have quite the storm in front of us. There's some lightning, but this is great because we're going to be able to set our own speeds, kind of get a feel for what this is like. This should remind you of Tesla before full self-driving really got to where it is today. So the car is going to be able to drive in its own lane and all of that sort of thing, which is great. This is game changer stuff in the automotive world. It's happening right now, where basically the car is going to stay in its lane. It's not going to stop for stoplights or anything like that, but when you're on the highway, huge plus. So far feels very much like basic autopilot does in a Tesla. This car, compared to the demo models that we saw in Miami, very similar. However, it feels even more finished than those. It's hard to explain. Those were such good examples of demo models that it was really hard to say that they were demo models to begin with, because they were put together so well. A lot of the things that you would have expected to see, like bolts and nuts that have been adjusted, were just not present in those demonstration models. So this is very much like it. So I'm listening for the wind noise. We're at about 50 right now. Any of the wind noise that we're having is coming from back there. So I'm going to open that rear window here shortly, and I probably should do that before this storm hits us. So once we get a little bit of open road here without so much distraction, actually, let's just go ahead and do it now. Okay, back window is opening right now, and actually, believe it or not, there's not a whole lot of air pressure that has to be equalized, surprisingly. And keep in mind, this car does not have a sunroof up here, so you're not able to just push wind straight through there, kind of like you do in the Toyota 4Runner. But that back window is really cool. I think I'm not alone when I say a lot of people are looking forward to having that back window, whether it's for your furry friends or not. That certainly actually adds to some of the practical use cases for this vehicle altogether, including surfboards, bikes, a number of things that you're going to be able to fit in this car because that back window opens, and that is actually quite a useful feature. All right, so we've got hands-free activated once again, and the interstate is right up here, so we're actually going to jump on the interstate. I'm going to go ahead and close this window. Road noise at 50. So a little bit of wind back here. That is it. I can't really hear the road. Getting ready to get passed by a truck that has some pretty big tires and clearly an exhaust. Can't really hear it much, which is great. So soundproofing is a lot better than I expected, because in this car, although these front windows are dual pane, these back windows and everything else is not. And that is something that we've seen the likes of Tesla continue to add more of that for soundproofing. So stellar job on soundproofing just as is, so to speak. So here we are merging on the highway. Let's get up to speed here and see what we sound like closer to 70, 80 miles an hour, like most of you are generally going to be doing. So here's 70 miles an hour. I'm not raising my voice any louder than what I was earlier. Kind of gives you an idea of, yeah, Sound is really good. Now the suspension, this is a unique suspension. It is adaptive, so there are adjustments that can be made on the suspension on the go, but it is not an air suspension like what we have on the R1S, the R1T, and then even Tesla's premium options. It's like the Performance Model Y. This Performance variant also has an adaptive suspension. So that is managed with magnets and sensors that are able to stiffen up or soften the suspension, but it is coil suspension. It is static. You cannot raise or lower the vehicle when you have this type of a suspension in place, and that's just normal. All right, so we're back on universal hands-free. Once we merge onto this other interstate, I-74, we're gonna start switching lanes and doing things like that, interact with the assist system. A lot of people will come to find that these hands-free systems are worth their weight in gold. So the more capable they are, the more valuable they are. And certainly, although Tesla has clearly the win in commercially available vehicles to retail customers, Rivian did give us our first look at what their system is capable of today after just a couple of years of development. And after experiencing it for myself out in Palo Alto, I gotta say it was quite impressive for just a year worth of work. So let's get up to speed here. Let me slow down actually. We'll get around this semi and then we'll try to get up to 80 miles an hour. Universal hands-free system, you just tell it you want to switch lanes and then it switches lanes. This is really good stuff. Enhanced autopilot is probably more of an accurate description of this if you're familiar with Tesla and their autonomous systems. So enhanced autopilot hasn't been a thing for quite some time, but that is exactly what we're looking at here essentially. So nice and smooth, acceleration is smooth. This system as it sits has been in play for some time in the R1S and the R1T, so this isn't brand new system that has no development. So you're actually getting kind of a jump start. It even sees the semi starting to sway into our area, but it's still pretty smooth. So stellar job. If you are not aware of what full self-driving is, this system will be, quote, good enough. It'll be way better than what you're used to in any of the other traditional cars on the road. This is fantastic. So if you're going on a long road trip, what you're going to find is for the areas that this operates, that this works, which is at this point most of the highways in the US, you're going to arrive at your destination a lot more refreshed than what you used to in a traditional car. It's because you're not doing all the minor adjustments on the steering wheel. It's really hands-free driving, which is a big deal. This makes for a lot more comfortable driving experience. Now, if I look over here, let's see how long it takes before it starts to yell at me. I'm not paying attention to the road at all. I am, however, looking at the road on my phone. Okay, so there it is saying, hey, pay attention. Now it's yelling at me. So they've definitely changed that to be a lot more sensitive than it used to be, where you could really just not pay attention at all. In my experience in an R1T that I drove across the country, this is surprisingly quiet for the size or the stance of this vehicle. This one has the upgraded 20-inch wheels with the BF Goodrich tires, which are an all-terrain vehicle tire. These tires are very capable. They're very popular in retail because they're very good tires. They're a good blend of capability and of being able to have a comfortable ride on traditional roads. This is a fantastic tire, but it traditionally comes with a lot more noise, so they've done a really good job with soundproofing. You cannot hear any of these cars buzzing around us, which is really, honestly, fantastic job. So with that, we also have what is likely to be a slightly different ride experience with the BF Goodrich tires, but it's going to be so minimal that it's really not going to be anything crazy. Let me set our destination back at the factory so I can find my way back as quickly as possible, because we're probably running out of time here. Might be cutting it close and I want to be respectful. So yeah, we need to really step it up. So we're going to do a zip around, turn around, and get back to the factory here as the rain starts to come down, which should give us a fun chance to try out that rear wiper here momentarily. And here comes the rain. So there's a lot of wind with this rain, and it's going to be an interesting experience seeing how this thing performs in inclement weather, which shouldn't be anything too concerning, obviously. So here we go. $134B, and like in the Tesla, we do have a pop-up camera here on the screen. It's the mini screen in front of us, which most people are going to appreciate having over not having anything. That's actually still to this day quite foreign to some people to not have a display right in front of you. So the nice thing about having that display in front of you is you can actually populate quite a lot of good, useful information. You can see the assist system as it's activated, what it's doing, what it's thinking. We can also see turns that pop up. We can see our speed, our gear, what the speed limit is. All the things that you would think would be there are absolutely there. And then that is also where our side camera pops up when we hit the turn signal. So all that can be configured, of course, but this is gonna work out pretty nice. And these scroll wheels are amazing. I still love them. They're a lot of fun to mess with. And there we go. So I've just changed it to navigation as the display, so you can start to see some of the different displays that we have. And then we can go back to autonomy, and it'll show us our autonomy. So let's go up here and make our U-turn. We're going to be 1 minute late if we don't pick this up, but fortunately it looks like we might catch the light. Maybe, maybe not. So let me make some adjustments to the camera so I can show you what's happening here on this front screen. Cornering is not as tight as I expected, to be honest with you. Now we are in all-purpose mode, so we're not in a sport setting, but perhaps moving this over to the sport setting here for the next exit, I will give that a shot, because that was definitely a lot more body roll than I had expected. It's still tight, but it's you could feel it was pushing its limit in this setting anyways, and that adaptive system trying to take over as I'm switching the lane here in the middle. So that definitely will require a sport setting to feel a little bit tighter, I would think. So let's get up to speed. Not lacking in acceleration at all, of course. This thing is packed with the power, and there's our blind spot monitor, which is also on the mirror itself. We've got nice setup right here. Let's see if we can get the universal hands-free to work in this condition. We've got quite heavy rain right now. Let's see if we can get it to do everything we want it to do here. And in the meantime, I'm also going to switch this over to show you the other screen display that's at least available now, and that is right there. And it is unavailable when universal hands-free is in play. So we will go ahead and take over, because we're going to do the exit here shortly anyways. There we go. Now you can see what our screen looks like with that navigation. This is actually quite a nice navigation screen when you don't have universal hands-free in play. Once we take this exit, I'll try to see if it'll let me activate it with this screen on, but it did not seem to want to do that. Let's go to sport mode now and bring our navigation back so we can. All right, let's see. Okay, so you can definitely feel that when you put this in sport mode, it's definitely tighter when you take a sharp turn like that, but it still feels tall, and that's to be expected. This thing does not sit low to the ground like, for example, the Model Y performance. So this thing is an adventure vehicle that sits higher, and that is part of that experience. You're going to get a lot more body roll because your center of gravity is so high. So you can definitely feel that difference, but acceleration is crazy good, and it has an awesome sound. I'm gonna move this camera now, and we'll finish this ride off with with a little bit of spirited driving, shall we? We've got 4 miles to go. We are in sport mode. We are going to make it thanks to sport mode. As you've probably gotten a good look at with this roof up here, even though it's a little bit overcast, I'm telling you, these cars with these huge glass roofs make a big difference. They look fantastic, and it adds a lot of airiness to the insides of vehicles. So specifically when you have a black headliner, which we now have in the Model Y, I think the black headliners always look better. However, it can darken up this interior. So having that open like this definitely adds to the roominess and feel, at least to this vehicle. So that's an important thing. That is what we're looking at here. And this glass roof goes all the way to the back of the second row. Fantastic. And you can really hear those motors even at a higher rate of speed. You can hear those motors whining as you start to really lay into them. So let's see. Acceleration is so good. It's interesting though, because it's really turning hard and pulling over to the right. Let's see if that was just a bad spot. Nope. So as this thing's accelerating, you can feel it pulling hard to the right, which is an interesting thing. It's a torque thing with these motors somehow. I don't know if that's going to be a software fix or what, but you can definitely feel when you, I mean, you can probably see it on the screen if you're watching, but that's an interesting feeling that we're getting here. On acceleration from a stand, on full acceleration anyways, when we're taking off. And here's a red light. Hopefully it's a quick one, but we will give it the beans as soon as it turns green and see what's up. Let me see if I can activate some sort of a launch mode of sorts. Let's see here. Ride, feel, moderate, firm, standard regen, high regen. There we go. Okay, now let's see if I hit both. Will it automatically put us into a launch mode? No, it does not. So it doesn't seem to have any of the normal launch stuff going. Here we go. And okay, so the traction control system is really holding back, stopping you from really letting it all out. So you can feel that power in reserve being held back by the highly sophisticated traction system on board. This is awesome. Zero slippage, which is important, but you can feel just the gobs of power in reserve when you accelerate from a standstill. You can still feel that sensation of all that pressure being pushed into your chest as you're accelerating, but it is definitely a winding up feeling. So you can feel it accelerating harder the faster you start to go. That's really good. Some people are not crazy about that sort of thing, but in all reality, it gives you the best traction and the safest takeoff when you decide to do something silly like that in the first place. So let's get up here to the factory. It's just right around the corner, it would seem. But we're on the back side and we need to be on the front side. We've got 2 minutes to get there, so let's get on it.
Continue on US 150 East.
Oh man, acceleration is just so good in this car. This is the performance dual motor, but it feels so good. It is a very spirited drive, no question about it. If you enjoy performance, you're gonna really love the performance you get in a traditional boxy, tall adventure SUV. It's quite crazy that it can do what it is doing. It is amazing how far we've come in automotive technology, that the type of performance you can get out of an SUV is just unreal. And to do it safely is, I think, quite incredible. But it is very interesting. So continuing to pull to the right is such a weird feeling. It's that torque is not evenly distributed. I don't know if it's a front motor, rear motor, right motor, left motor kind of thing, but that is very, very obvious that you're going to feel in this car. And I am confident that is being looked at or will be looked at as more and more consumers start to drive this thing and feel that phenomenon. So we're back from our test drive. I've got all the thoughts right here to consolidate for you. What a unique opportunity to really try this thing out without an employee there, kind of telling you what you can and can't do. Of course, be within reason, be respectful, but we were able to do just about everything you might want to feel in the new R2, including acceleration from a stop, acceleration while already at speed, highway driving sound, what's the suspension feel like, sport mode versus all purpose, and then of course the hands-free system, including in some pretty heavy downfall. So this was a unique opportunity to really try it in a number of scenarios. Also, first thing I did, opening that back window, I'm so excited about that window, and opening it, I was relieved to see that I'm going to be able to do that without a whole bunch of air buffeting, because once you do crack open the front windows, it blares a lot of wind noise in. But that's a good testament to the soundproofing of this car. One of the things I was concerned about when I saw them in Miami was with dual pane in the front and single pane in every other window. Soundproofing was going to be decent for the driver, but is it going to be decent overall? And I was shocked. You cannot hear the cars around you, even at the highway. And that is fantastic soundproofing in this car. However, the road noise itself with the tires, you couldn't even hear. And this one has the upgraded 20-inch wheels with the BF Goodrich tires, so they should have more road noise, but you can't really hear it. The only thing you really hear is a little bit of wind, and it is up towards the top. Now, it's hard to say, is that specifically because of the single pane windows in the back and that's where it's coming from? I don't know, but it's likely that, or it's the air dam that's on the very back of the vehicle that helps with aerodynamics. It's one of those two things. It's not crazy, it's not super loud, but it is noticeable. The other thing is when you're accelerating this car, tons and tons of power, way more than you would ever need, all at your foot, and that is a lot of fun. However, there is definitely a torque pull when you're accelerating. It pulls to the right. Now, the good thing about electric cars like Tesla, like Rivian, is there's a lot of software involved, and software can be very powerful in addressing some of these things. So even though it's doing something a little weird mechanically, software can kind of straighten up that acceleration. And perhaps it's just this unit, but if it's not just this unit, they will know that this is happening, and they will be addressing that with software. I was surprised to see universal hands-free as clean and crisp as it was right off the bat, and it reminds me of where this is headed, their first public look at their Autonomy Plus program. Fantastic work has been done in just 2 years to really get pretty far along in their development of Autonomy Plus. Still plenty of work to do there, of course, but even just universal hands-free right now, it's almost all the major highways in the United States, which means the only thing you really got to do is hit the turn signal. So when you're going on long road trips, this is going to be like enhanced autopilot from back in the day, where the vehicle could go around traffic, but it's not seemingly doing it automatically, at least yet. There's some powerful systems on board of these vehicles, and it is definitely a game changer if you've never experienced anything like it. A lot of people say, oh, my car can drive itself too. That's traffic aware cruise control. That is not the same thing. This is a powerful autonomy system that's just the base side of it. So Autonomy Plus continues to roll out, continues to develop. That's just going to continue to make this an even more powerful vehicle. And yet again, another American company changing the roads that we drive on every day. Make sure you check out your local area for demos as they pop up. It's going to be crazy hard to get one for a while, but it will eventually level out and you'll be able to get demos pretty easily, probably in a couple of months. But if you really want to get your hands on one, log into your account, because that allows you some sort of better priority in getting these demo rides. Probably maybe advanced booking, maybe like a day before the general public. I don't know that that's true, but go ahead and schedule your demo as quickly as you can and experience it for yourself, because after what I just experienced, if you combine all the amazing things about the R2 that are going to be fantastic for traditional American automotive buyers, where it's SUV, it's boxy, it's big, it's got a lot of great things about it, couple that in with a nice plush ride, comfortable and quiet, this thing is certainly going to be a very popular, again, American-made car, and I'm very excited to see them on the road. And with that, I thank you so much for joining us today, and I can't wait to catch you on the next one.